Hey guys, this is Clinton Jeff and I'm super excited today because I finally got my hands on a pair of self-lacing shoes. It's been a while, but here's a quick look at the Nike Adapt BB 2.0. Alright, it's been a while since I've actually played basketball, so I'm going to review these as a lifestyle sneaker. Now, back when I was a kid and I saw Marty McFly put on those self-lacing shoes in Back to the Future, honestly, I thought to myself, damn, that is a pretty sweet pair of shoes. And when Nike announced that they're actually going to start making them, the nerd in me was just generally super excited about it. But the original Nike Mags were super limited. I think only 89 pairs were made. And I've seen a few of them around, especially on reseller sites, but the resale price on those are insane. And there's probably no way I'm going to be able to afford them in this lifetime. So when Nike announced that they're going to make a version for the more general audience, again, I was super excited. The original Nike Adapt BB dropped last year and it was an exciting time. They even had a Back to the Future colorway version that looked pretty sweet. But again, couldn't afford them last year and they didn't really drop where I was. And I could not afford the reseller prices on those either. I mean, come on, these retail at $400, which is more than the reseller prices of some Yeezys and Air Jordan 1s right now. But hey, luckily a couple of weeks ago, I saw these pop up on Foot Locker Malaysia. Admittedly, they still cost way too much, but hey, I'm a nerd and I still had a little bit of expendable income around. Of course, this was way before the world was ending, so it was a different time. So I copped them and they got delivered and here's what I think about them. Now you might have seen a couple of these on basketball courts and Nike's reasoning behind the existence of these shoes is pretty simple. Athletes can adjust the lacing and fit on these on the fly. So during timeout in basketball, you can loosen the laces and let the blood flow back into your feet. Or while you're on a run, if the shoe gets wet or your foot is swelling during a marathon, you can just loosen the lacing and adjust the fit again. So that's the reasoning behind this technology. But honestly, as cool as they are, this is still a luxury purchase. I mean, you don't really need these because most people aren't that lazy. You can, of course, adjust your lacing yourself, but this is way more convenient and admittedly much faster and really cool, especially when you hear that self-lacing sound. Alright, moving on, we have to start with the box, and this time around the box is much smaller than last year's version. You can see the Nike Adapt BB 2.0 and 2020 written here with the Nike Swoosh logo. Opening up the box, the first thing you see is obviously the BB 2.0s. I'll set the shoe aside for now and let's check on what else you get with these, because like I said earlier, these aren't just ordinary shoes. In this tiny box up top, you have the power cable and charging adapter for the wireless charging pad. Apart from that, there's the instruction manual and the wireless charging pad, which is exactly the same design as last year's version. The charging pad is definitely one of the coolest things about the shoe. You just drop the shoe onto the two circles and the shoes light up and start wirelessly charging. It's pretty simple. I'm just so glad that wireless charging has become more mainstream. I wonder if I can use that charging pad to charge my iPhone. Coming to the shoe itself, a lot of people have been saying this is a huge improvement in terms of comfort over the original Adapt BB. The Nike Adapt BB 2.0 is an interesting design that you'll either love or hate. Although I do feel like the original Adapt BB design looked a little bit more cleaner. The BB 2.0 is basically a redesigned HyperRev 2016, but with an auto lacing system, zoom turbo, and full-length cushioning. Nonetheless, it does seem like Nike has spent a lot of time focusing on the overall design of the shoe, and it really does have a vibe to it. I mean, I know other reviewers have said the same thing, but this does really look like a shoe that Batman would wear. I mean, you can imagine Batman getting out of the Batmobile, he's wearing the bat suit, and then you look down and he's wearing these shoes, the bat shoes. Starting with the upper, the entire front of the shoe is covered in a thin synthetic fabric. Nike has said that an area focused with the BB2 was easier entry into the shoe. Because of that, they removed the flyknit shroud, opened up the collar a little more, and integrated a stretchable ballistic mesh throughout the upper. So in theory, the designers made putting the shoes on much easier. But I'm not entirely sure this is validated for me because I have pretty wide feet and I did struggle putting on these shoes. But I'll talk more about fit later on. Another obvious new visual tweak is the huge Nike swoosh across the top, which really looks cool as you turn the shoe. The way they made the swoosh is actually pretty cool. It's a combination of pixelated textures, which Nike says is a deliberate choice by the designers to balance out the shoe's uber tech performance ideal. I think the white of the swoosh along with that whole thing going on the back might be the reason why I'm getting such Batman vibes out of the sneaker. Moving on, the synthetic TPU material also protects the lacing wires that tie the sneaker together and have a pretty rough texture to it. It's also a more stiff material versus the Flyknit used before, but thankfully you don't feel any of this on your foot. There seems to be enough padding and the ballistic mesh all around so that you feel like you're wearing a regular pair of Nike basketball shoes. Towards the bottom, you'll also find a lateral clip where the tightening and loosening buttons are surrounded by an inset into a black plastic casing. This black plastic actually does seem like it might scratch easily over time, so it's not really my favorite detail about this shoe. I mean, I wish they used a hard rubber or some other material, but I understand that using plastic does save on weight. But it's also probably there to keep the buttons and the motor of the lacing system inside all protected. Nike actually says something really cool about how these buttons are located. The buttons are positioned in such a way that they have a concave geometry to them, which means that the lights better reflect off the midsole surface area, which gives the shoe a really cool look for those 2 seconds that the lights stay on for. Yeah, not such a big deal after all. Moving on, the tongue of the shoe is all 3M with a black pull tab that has this little red circle that tells you which is the left shoe and the right shoe, which is totally unnecessary, but I guess why not? Coming to the medial side of the shoe, you just have the white swoosh outline which extends into the midfoot area. And then coming to the heel of the shoe, you have the sculpted black plastic or hard rubber pull tab thing, which is also a heel counter. This thing is really weird but also looks kind of cool depending on how you feel about the shoe, and it also helps ensure good heel lockdown while you're wearing these shoes. You think that would be all to the upper, but like I said, this isn't any ordinary pair of shoes. What you're seeing is just the outer layer of the upper, and underneath all of that is where all the cool tech bits actually lie that make up the power lacing system. Obviously, this self-lacing technology is the main reason why you want to buy these shoes, and it's understandably pretty similar to the Adapt BB 1.0 which dropped last year. There doesn't really seem to be any internal changes to the mechanism, at least Nike hasn't publicly said anything about it. But according to other reviewers out there, the way it wraps around your foot feels exactly the same as previous versions. Now there are 2 very cool ways to activate the lacing system. One is you can use the 2 buttons at the bottom to tighten or loosen the lacing, which is cool because the buttons briefly light up, and there's also that really cool auto lacing sound. That being said, I really do wish that there was a way to keep those lights switched on for longer, but admittedly that would take a huge toll on battery life. And then there's option number 2, using the shoe along with the Nike Adapt app for iOS or Android. Setting up the app is pretty easy. You just have to make sure to charge the shoes and then hold your phone with the app opened next to the shoes, and you'll be able to pair them. You can tighten or loosen the lacing on each sneaker right from the app itself, and you can even set the shoe to automatically tighten to a default perfect fit preference as soon as you put your feet inside, which is pretty cool. You can also check the battery life on both shoes and change the color of the light on the buttons on the side of the shoe, and of course you can also update the firmware. One thing I should point out is that the motor noise is actually quite loud. This won't be a problem on a noisy street or on court, but if you're wearing the Adapt BB in a quiet office environment or a sensitive area like the airport, well then be prepared for people looking at you funny. But hey, that's all part of the flex here, isn't it? Alright, coming back to the shoe, apart from everything that's going on with the upper, inside the shoe you have this neat little padded black sock liner which feels great. You also have bits of suede overlaying as well. And then there's the black insole with a rainbow Nike swoosh logo, another indicator of which foot it belongs to, left or right. And then you have this outline of the lacing button layout, which kinda looks okay. Moving towards the bottom, there's the black Cushlong foam midsole, which isn't exactly the softest cushioning out there, but it is housing a lacing motor and a battery inside, so that's not a huge surprise. Still, you can't really feel the motor or the battery underneath your feet, and that's majorly thanks to the cushioning, but also because of the outsole used here. Nike said that players wanted a more noticeable bounce underfoot, so just having cushioning wasn't enough. As a result, Nike added Air Zoom Turbo to the forefoot of the 2.0, and that's the red circle that you see here. It definitely makes the forefoot area a bit more bouncy, and according to Nike, it's the same one used on the Nike Kyrie line in case you want to try that out just to know how it feels. Apart from all of that, you have this blue translucent rubber outsole, which has a herringbone pattern that seems to have a decent amount of grip and traction, but I'm assuming these are more meant to be used on indoor basketball courts or maybe outdoors on street courts, but these are definitely not meant for anything remotely off-road. In terms of colorway, I got the launch colorway, which is black with hints of red, but there's also a really cool red colorway, which is a Chicago Gamer exclusive. I've had my fill of red sneakers lately, but damn, that is one good looking colorway. And then more recently, these photos leaked of an upcoming tie-dye colorway, which also looks pretty cool. Unfortunately, no release dates on these yet, but they definitely look more like regular sneakers than the other 2 colorways. All in all, the Nike Adapt BB 2.0 is a really cool looking sneaker, but there's definitely a lot of plastic all around. Alright, moving on to fit and sizing. Honestly, I'm quite impressed by how these shoes feel. There's a lot of padding on the upper, so that definitely helps with comfort. Plus, you can wear them as snug or as loose as you want to. In terms of sizing, they seem to fit pretty true to size, but these are basketball sneakers after all, so they are a little snug. I have pretty wide feet, so if you're like me, I'd advise you to go up half a size or maybe up a full size, because even if they're slightly too big, you can still adjust the fit on these shoes. Now, normally I'd advise you to go out to a store and try these shoes on, but these shoes are really hard to find in stores right now, and for most people around the world, you're not allowed to go to stores right now. So if you're thinking about getting these shoes, you want to do a little research on sizing. All in all, Nike has done a really great job with improving the Adapt BB series with the 2.0s, and I'm quite happy with the shoe. If you weren't a fan of the concept of the original shoe, you probably won't like these either. But if you're just a nerd like me who wanted a pair of self-lacing shoes and you have that expendable income lying around, you could totally pick these up. Honestly, the fact that these shoes automatically lace up was totally worth the price tag for me. I mean, come on, that's just so freaking cool. Although that being said, the price point of these shoes is definitely expensive. But if you're looking for a comfortable lifestyle shoe with futuristic cutting-edge technology and also something that you want to flex, well, the Nike Adapt BB 2.0 is definitely a sneaker worth checking out. I'm actually looking forward to wearing these out as an everyday shoe because I just can't get over how cool these are, and they also go really well with my nerdy tech guy aesthetic. I also really can't wait to see how much further Nike can take this technology. Like maybe they can make this a smart shoe. Like imagine a smart Nike Adapt running shoe that can also measure your running ability like we've seen with the new Under Armour shoes. Now that would be a really cool smart shoe. Alright guys, that's what I think about the Nike Adapt BB 2.0. I want to know, what do you guys think about these shoes? Are you thinking about getting a pair yourself, or do you think these are a hard pass? If you have any questions about this shoe, please let me know right in the comment section below, or you can let me know right over on Instagram or Twitter at ClintonJeff. And hey, if you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button right below, or maybe subscribe because that would be appreciated. And yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.